the characteristics of a dangerously violent cult of this kind. It doesn't mean that every cult that shows any of these characteristics fits into this category of a murderous cult or a violent cult, but it does mean that if you have most of these characteristics, we should look out and be wary. The first characteristic is the totalized guruism that I mentioned, which becomes paranoid guruism, megalomanic guruism, a very absolute kind of guruism. Second, an apocalyptic event or series of events that destroys the world in the service of renewal. But more than that, the ideology of making that happen, of forcing the end, some Poe-like ideology, so that one helps it to happen. And then a characteristic that I call the relentless impulse toward world-rejecting purification. The world is evil and polluted and must be rejected and destroyed in a very different way. Heaven's Gate felt that way in its mass suicide. We should distrust anybody with excessive hatred for the world. So, what do we do about this? Well, there's no simple formula, but one very strong principle, which people in this room are very aware of, is to be wary of any group or person who claims the only or the complete truth. As Albert Camus has written, he who does not know everything cannot kill everything. It's in the claim to absolute knowledge that the murderous processes can be nurtured. It is important to keep in mind also that cultic totalism and apocalyptic violence are by no means the only paths available to us, and that our own more protean sensibilities can create alternative attitudes and actions. Again, that's what I think this group stands for. Alternative sources of life power and larger human connectedness that require not the status quo rigidities, but rather continuous imaginative efforts to locate ourselves in a confusing world, and not to become superhuman, as these cultic groups promise and claim to become, but rather as beings who do not seek to become superhuman, but rather to sustain our own humanity.